here to lend his knowledge and thoughts about the Middle East and the role of the United States there. We call on United States Senator from the state of Wisconsin, Ron Johnson. Ron's on the road in Chippewa Falls. Ron, we thank you for your time joining us once again here on America's Forum.
Well, JD, how you doing?
Well, doing fine, thanks. Let's begin with listening to one of your colleagues from the other side of the aisle, Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein of California. We'll listen, then I'd like to get your reaction to what she had to say.
The fact is they have been on the march now for months, if not years. So why does the president still say we don't have a strategy yet? Doesn't that project weakness from the White House?
Well, I mean, I know what you want me to say, but I'm not going to say it in that sense. I think I've learned one thing about this president, and that is he's very cautious. Maybe in this instance, too cautious.
So that is Dianne Feinstein in response to the question from Andrea Mitchell on NBC's Meet the Press. And it was interesting to hear Senator Feinstein there, Ron. Di-Fi doesn't come right out and say it, but basically she's saying the president is not moving swiftly enough. Or am I missing something here?
No, I think that's exactly what she's saying. And let's face it, JD, we do want a president to be appropriately cautious, but this president is overly cautious, and it has very serious negative consequences as a result. I mean, the fact that President Obama spent so much time on the golf course when he really should have been on the phone assembling the coalition of the willing to address what is a very serious threat to America.
Well, we take a look at this and we acknowledge it, but it's worth noting that there were bipartisan concerns, a type of war weariness, if you will, dealing with Iraq and extending on into Afghanistan. And now we hear again that we may have to step up involvement to deal with ISIS. What are you hearing from your constituents this week in Wisconsin, and how are you responding?
Well, people are highly concerned, and it's certainly one of my concerns is not only how this president's been overly cautious, but the way he just simply denies reality. I remember back in January, after ISIS took Fallujah, I mean, his comment was, hey, just because the JV team puts on the Lakers jersey doesn't make him Kobe Bryant. I mean, basically talking about ISIS as being a JV team, not even worthy of his concern, of his attention. And as a result, ISIS just continued to roll up territory, and now I think the world recognizes that ISIS is a real threat. They are far more, they are far better resourced, they are far more strategic, far better organized, far more effective than Al-Qaeda in Iraq ever was, and that's really what ISIS is. They're the successor organization to Al-Qaeda in Iraq, a force that we had largely defeated, and we could have kept defeated had not President Obama really had the historic blunder, that strategic blunder of not leaving a stabilizing force in Iraq. So Iraq's certainly disintegrated, and ISIS has risen from the ashes. That's because President Obama didn't have the foresight, didn't learn the lessons of history that when you sacrifice so greatly, when you do win a war, you need to consolidate those gains. You need to leave a stabilizing force behind, like we did in Germany, Japan, and South Korea. He didn't understand that, and again, he continues to deny reality, and that's going to cost America dearly.
Ron, you've laid out the whys and wherefores. We know there was not a status of forces agreement worked out as we left Iraq. Taking all that into account, Ron Johnson, can you think of any scenario where you could support sending troops again into Iraq or maybe into Syria?
Well, JD, they're already there. I mean, we're already at war with ISIS. They are at war with us. They're not war weary. We've got almost 1,000 military personnel in Iraq. They are certainly helping spot and direct the airstrikes. And so the fact of the matter is we're at war with ISIS. And just like in the 90s, if America puts its head in the sand, if we deny reality, if we, even after Al-Qaeda had declared war on us, if we continue to deal with it like it's a policing action, when in fact it is a war, we saw the disastrous consequences of that type of attitude. Thousands of Americans were slaughtered when the Twin Towers came down. And JD, remember, ISIS was pretty well kicked out of Al-Qaeda because they were too radical. These are evil people. They are barbarians. They can't be contained. They have to be defeated.
Well, Senator Johnson, you made mention of the Twin Towers. 9/11 is fast approaching. There's always concern about that date in our history. what steps have we taken? Are you comfortable? Are we secure enough on our borders and ports of entry?
I don't believe we are. You know, I mean, just take a look at what's happening on the southern border right now. So, no, we have not secured our border. I would assume, but it's only an assumption, you know, because I'm not getting any direct information that we are taking 9/11 and at a heightened level of security. We certainly know that the British have done that. We haven't announced anything through the Department of Homeland Security in terms of increasing our threat level. You know, we maybe don't have to publicly increase it, but boy, behind the scenes, we had better be far better prepared, certainly better prepared than we were in Baghdad, in Benghazi, 9/11 a couple of years ago.
You made mention of the fact of what the British are doing, and the difference could not be clearer. Prime Minister Cameron cut short his vacation, returns to number 10 Downing Street, and in the House of Commons laid out chapter and verse of how they were going to stop British subjects with passports to try and alleviate this problem. You mentioned administrative action taken by the Department of Homeland Security. If that fails to take place, do you believe that there could be a bipartisan group in the Senate drawing up legislation to move forward to do something similar to what the UK is doing?
Well, yeah, we've offered a number of bipartisan resolutions, whether it's in Iran or other national security and foreign policy initiatives, but those resolutions always get killed by Senator Harry Reid. I mean, he's pretty much President Obama's lapdog. And so that's just going to get killed by Senator Harry Reid time and time again. I think the best we can do is basically what I'm doing here today, JD, is get on media and sound the alarm that this president refuses to sound. And listen, I know President Obama likes to be Mr. Cool, but we need a president that is fully engaged, and we need a president that uses his bully pulpit to educate the American public. Whether it's the long-term threat that the events in Syria represented. I mean, he didn't do that. I mean, the reason he couldn't rally Americans to support military action when Bashar Assad used chemical weapons against his peoples, he didn't spend the couple of years necessary to make the case so Americans understand why the events in the Middle East, in places like Syria, in Iraq, actually do represent a serious national security threat. Quite honestly, just represent a threat to our prosperity in terms of how it roils markets and really affects world economies.
Of course, Ron, the president did complete his vacation, came back to the White House, promptly said we have no strategy on dealing with ISIS, then went back on the fundraising trail. And to compound that, he was just in Milwaukee yesterday, pretty partisan statement there for Labor Day. Does this president place more of a premium on the midterm elections than he does our national security?
He does, JD. And let me tell you a personal story about the president's visit. I was invited to greet him on the tarmac, and listen, I was willing to take 5 hours out of my day to do that. And all I requested in return for that is, could I get 5 minutes set aside? Because what I wanted to convey to the president is I wanted to look him in the eye and personally convey my willingness to be supportive of strong, decisive energy. I've asked for America to pray for this president because these are complicated, difficult issues. I don't envy the president his task, but we need a strong leader. So I just wanted to briefly meet with the president to convey so he understood I'm genuine in my desire to work with him to alert the American public and support strong leadership and strong action. And the White House simply couldn't carve out the time to meet with me. Again,
now this bears amplification, Ron. All you said was, look, I just need 5 minutes of the president's time. In a bipartisan nature, they could not find the time for a member of the United States Senate with the president visiting that senator's home state?
No, there were logistical problems of trying to arrange something like that. So, he couldn't take 5 minutes out of his politicking schedule. He couldn't do that to meet with the United States Senator that's on foreign relations, that is on Homeland Security, that takes these issues and my responsibilities very seriously. And listen, I appreciate that the president did invite a number of us into the White House to talk about an authorization for the use of military force because they're finding the current ones in place are pretty tenuous. And so I also wanted to encourage the president to keep that process going forward. This is the perfect time where you've got a Democrat president, you've got divided government. This is the perfect time to come up with a bipartisan authorization of use of military force that that really takes into account this asymmetric threat that not only this president is going to have to deal with, but that future presidents are going to deal with. So I just want to make those points. I'm going to be there. I want to support strong presidential action, and I'm genuine in that. I want to be able to do that person to person, and I want to encourage him to continue working with Congress to develop a new authorization of military force so that he has the capability, the constitutional latitude to do what not only this president, but future presidents want to do.
Well, Ron Johnson,
again, they wouldn't give me the time of day.
we appreciate you giving us the time of day, more than 5 minutes. We were glad to have you. We'll have you back real soon. There's more ahead.